Today, I'm so excited to introduce my friend and colleague, Jenn McCormac. She's the owner and chief designer at Carousel Homestaging. Thanks to Jenn, I help my clients sell their homes faster and for more money. In addition to running a wildly successful business, Jenn is a mom to 3 amazing kids: wife, sister, friend, daughter, and boss. She's a St. Louis native with an insider's appreciation of all the city has to offer. And today, we're going to learn how she does it all. Hey! Hi.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
So I am super excited to interview you because I just think what you do is so interesting and so visual, and I just want to share you with the world, honestly. So will you just introduce yourself a little bit and tell me a little bit about your business model?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Jenn McCormac, owner and chief designer, as you say, at Carousel Homestaging. And we work with realtors and homeowners to stage their properties so that they sell faster and for more money. And we try to have a little fun in the experience. Our business model is just basically make a home feel good for the prospective buyer. And it's simple. It's funny when I hear people like you say, I just think it's so interesting and I want to know more. I take it for granted that I think my brain is just wired this way. And I don't know, we just go into houses and we do our thing. It's our, I don't know, it's our thing. It's fun.
Well, how did you get started? How did you become a staging company?
So my background is in marketing. I used to teach high school marketing and loved it with my entire heart. I found the content to be fascinating. I loved working with the teenagers, and life happened and I had kids who were growing up a little bit, and we made a family decision where Joe, my husband's career, was going to take center stage and I was going to stay home with the kids. And after a few years of doing that, I realized that that was not the best fit for me. And so in order to be creative, because I think teaching's creative, I think marketing's creative, I got into design and furniture and was just outfitting our cute little house and staying busy with our cute little kids. And people started noticing and asked me if I would help them do some houses. And that's just how it started. It was very organic. It felt super unnatural because real estate to me was kind of a dirty word, and I'm so sorry. And I was wrong. But at the time, I just didn't have respect for this industry because I really didn't have any experience in it. And I thought that teaching was this noble profession unlike any other. And so, yeah, when somebody said, will you stage houses? I'm like, oh, no, I'm not getting into real estate. What is that? I'm a teacher, don't you know? But thankfully, this all happened because the great realtors out there, the great professionals in this industry are absolute teachers. And the lessons that you guys have to teach people, the lessons we have to teach them in staging are some of the most important lessons because you only move once or twice. And if you're not an effective teacher and leader and role model in this industry, you're going to leave a lot of those students hanging out to dry. And so anyway, long story, but that's how I got into it. I pushed back a little bit and one house led to another, and here we are 7 years later.
Wow, 7 years. That's a pretty lucky number. So it started out organically. You were kind of staging on the side for friends, and then you decided to incorporate and name your business. And
yes.
What was that like for you? Was it a big scary moment, or like how did you come up with Carousel, which I think is a brilliant name? So so what was that conversation like where you went from, okay, I'm just doing this as a side hustle to I'm making this my career, and not just making this my career, I am going to be the owner operator.
Right.
What were the behind the scenes of that? Like you and Joe were talking and what happened?
Nothing in my life is very planned. I'm very spontaneous and I love to hustle. I love to work and have fun. And I think work is fun. So I didn't really have a moment where I sat down and was trying to figure out what I was going to be. In fact, the name Carousel started before the staging started. I was pushing back in the real estate world. I was like, I'm not going to do staging, but I was interested in design. So I was helping people do consults mainly. And so Carousel came from spinning what they had around so that they didn't have to buy new furniture. So they didn't have to do a full stage. Let's work with what you have. And so Carousel was spinning around their space and changing their worlds around, whether they were living there or whether they were moving. And it was, and it's now morphed into a circus theme because our staff and my family life is very circus like. It's just crazy. But so that's how the name started. And as far as developing it into a full-blown business, I really think the universe knew best for me because for a few years I was really pushing back against this. I just thought I was living and doing, like I said at the beginning, that I take it for granted that people are wondering about this job and how I do it. I was just living it. I was just doing it all the time. And I think it was like year 4 where I really stopped and turned around and was like, we're actually doing this. And I had people working with me, but I never thought they were working for me. I thought we were like in it together, even though I was the owner. It was very team oriented. So I don't know. I think there were some growing pains with Joe that we probably should have talked about, but didn't talk about. I just kept
Like
moving
what?
forward. Our home paradigm really shifted because we kind of had an unspoken system down where if he had to scamper off somewhere for work, I could fill in the gap. And suddenly I was the one with deadlines and timelines. And in our industry, actually, there's a lot less flex than some of his deadlines just because his time horizons are a lot longer. That was a growing pain where the kids and Joe, the dogs, where all of a sudden I wasn't around quite as much. But it ended up being a gorgeous thing because my kids can cook anything in the whole world for themselves. They cook dinner for me often because they know I'm coming in starving. They do their own laundry. Quinn taught himself how to change the oil in his car simply because I wasn't around all the time to do it. And in the end, it was kind of the sneaky best parenting move I've ever made by accident. So I don't know, all these growing pains really, they work themselves out.
That is awesome and also just a relief because, I feel you. Like I'm often running around. I'm often not available. So I like that perspective of seeing your happy, healthy, well acclimated kids, a few years ahead of mine. And I'm like, okay, it's going to work out.
It does. It does. My friend gave me the greatest quote in the whole world a while back when we were young in our marriage and there were lots of tricky life things happening. And she told me, everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. Like just put your head down and keep working. And I'm like, all right. So, yeah, kids are very elastic. I find being honest with them is the greatest, easiest way to parent and just come home and say, today sucked. I I'm stressed out. I'm worried about the job I did. I think I could have done better, but how was your day? And just turn and look at them. And then sometimes I interrupt them and say, and back to me and just vent, just we're real to a fault.
That is awesome. Okay, so just let's circle back because something that you just said, you said a couple of things. One, you never miss a deadline. And I know that to be true. And I know I'm changing my deadlines on you all the time. And I know if I'm changing my deadlines on you all the time, then every other agent you're working with is likely, occasionally, changing those deadlines on you too. And
Right.
From my perspective, I literally do not know, and I'm so curious, how you organize that. Because you've never let me down. Like, you've never let one of my clients down. And I have pulled things on you 6 hours before you were going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when we got off the phone, were you like cussing at me? Like, how do you how do you handle that? Like both logistically, because I think the logistics of what you do is just hidden from the rest of us.
Right.
And so I think putting that puzzle piece together has got to be maddening, but also just the emotion of it. Like how are you dealing with those things?
So, number one, I have never cursed you ever, and I curse
I
like a
would have.
sailor. No, I mean, back to what I was saying way at the beginning, that there's certain professionals in this industry that really have some integrity and make a professional. I know that you're always doing your best. And in real estate happens, you know. Um, we have we brought on a handful of new team members this year, and it was very interesting to have to teach them about the deadlines. One of our team members in particular was like, they can't do this, they can't change. Oh my gosh, we went into this house and it was dirty with construction materials. And we all had to sit down as a team and say, hey guys, we are here to make their jobs easier. We want selling houses to be the easiest thing in the whole world for you and every other realtor out there. And so we absorb a lot. We change on the fly, and we bring brooms, and we do our best to get these homes sold with you. As far as timelines changing and how do we pivot, and we have post-it notes everywhere, and we color code installs and uninstalls, and we have strategically grown our team, and we have our own movers. I employ a team of movers in-house instead of outsourcing that, because they can see and get a feel for this business and know the carousel way and know that we don't miss deadlines. And I don't know, we're like a funny little family that has the same goal. So we I don't know how we do it. It's magic sometimes. I do know that behind the scenes, hiring Jess, Jess,
Mhm.
she's the director of operations. That was a game changer. She keeps us very organized, and she got a bigger time horizon, bigger picture, and like is able to see weeks in advance how it's going to go. But we try to think about the properties that we're going to be staging and what we need to reserve furniture wise and space wise and truck wise and staffing wise, and we just do our best.
Well, but you really do your best. I
Yeah.
can tell. I mean, so I'm 100% pro staging
Yes.
every vacant house. Like I feel that that's an investment, and it seems to pay off. Like anytime we rehab a house and sell it, we always stage it. And so like I know staging, and I also show staged houses all the time. And your style is very distinctive from other stagers, right? I don't know if you recognize that, but I do. I mean, I can walk into a house and within 3 seconds, I'm like, oh, that's a carousel house.
Oh, thanks.
And but I don't. But I like. How would you define the style? And when you go into a house, how are you? Because I know some stagers are just like, okay, I'm going to uninstall that one on the 27th. I have another one I need to install on the 29th. I'm just going to move that furniture from here. It's kind of
Right.
irrespective of the house, right?
Right.
I'm just going to, and you never do that. I've,
It's
you
it's a
never do
sickness.
that.
We never do that. No. I wish some days that we did do that, but no. We Our approach to all these properties is feels like home. That's one of our biggest mantras at work. Does it
Well,
feel like home?
that's that's on your marketing, right?
It is. It is. I mean, we like sat down and we brainstormed, what is the carousel difference? Because in staging, a couch is a couch, a chair is a chair, it's a lamp. But why does a buyer want this particular house versus that house? How are we going to get them to want to buy this house? And every home is different, every family is different, every buyer is different. So we work really hard to study the market and to really try to analyze what's the target market, who is likely going to buy this property. And we go about our staging based on what they're thinking, not what I like. I mean, my style is pretty eclectic and fun and collected, and um, not every buyer wants that. Not every buyer feels that. So um, when we go into Tower Grove, that's usually a typically more eclectic buyer than, say, somebody who's going to be buying a newer construction in Baldwin. And one day Emily at work said, "Can Baldwin handle this couch?" And I'm like, "Okay, you're right, you're right. I'll save it for Tower Grove." We really start to think about who these people are. But what sets Carousel apart, I think, is that we really strive, no matter who that target market is, to make it feel like their home. What would make it feel happy? And we love to use color, and we love to use some antiques and collected pieces mixed in with some of the new modern works and pieces that we have. But the carousel style is very intentional, very thoughtful. We work really hard to make it look authentic.
It does. I mean, it really does. It looks like someone actually lives there and cares deeply about the home. And so I think that's a key differentiator between you and a lot of other staging companies, is that some people are just filling out the space and you're really like creating a home with the end buyer in mind, right? To help attract the right audience. So now, and you might not want to divulge, but where do you find all of these great pieces?
All these amazing pieces. So when I first started this, remember, I wasn't starting this. So I had zero budget. We were a young couple with growing kids living in the city, going to private schools. I mean, no dollars for this. So I always tease that, some people are like always winning the lottery or a scratcher's ticket. It's like, how are you always winning? I always win furniture. I could be driving down a city alley and out of the corner of my eye, I'll see a dresser. I mean, this was at the very beginning. And I'm like, well, hot damn, look at that dresser. And I would throw it in the back of my big fat SUV and put it in the garage, which then became put it in the warehouse. So I stumble upon things all the time. I think my eyes are just drawn to certain eclectic pieces. So lots of collected items from secondhand stores, vintage markets, estate sales at the beginning. And so we collected all of those very kitschy, authentic pieces. And then as I started making a little bit of money for the business, I could invest in newer pieces. And that blend of old and new really is what creates layers in these properties and makes it feel like home. So where do we shop today? Unfortunately, time is not my buddy. So days of estate sailing and antique malling are few and far between. I really do love Amazon and Wayfair. They have some incredible options locally. We do a lot of sourcing at Home Goods and Ross and TJ Maxx and Marshalls. All those places, I know that they're big box stores, but they get the job done when you're looking just for certain pillows or mirrors. But some of the secret little haunts in St. Louis that are fantastic. The Antique Mall on the Hill, I think it's called the Hill Antique Market. Some of the best collections. And on Wednesday, they have wine. And so you can like do a little shopping, find some treasures, have a glass of wine. And
I'm like, I think I want to go with you. Can I go?
Oh, yeah,
like, that sounds like I've never been there, and
yeah.
you've said, like that's right up my alley.
100%. Yes, you're for your new house. We will do this.
Yeah.
But also, the best rug store in all of St. Louis is a cute little place called Lucky's.
Never heard of it. Where is it?
They moved. They are now at Mackenzie and Gravois, right beside the Dollar General or Family Dollar, one of the two. There's a dollar there. But awesome family business. And they go down to the Carolinas and source rugs, I think weekly, and bring them back. And it's the most incredible value. They help you pick through piles. They're awesome. So that's my rug source.
Wow. I didn't think you would. I thought you would deflect. I honestly was like, is she going to answer this question or not? Because these are your secrets. These are like, this is the special carousel sauce.
Well, as far as Lucky's goes, they have been so generous to us and have worked with us when I need rugs in a pinch. They load my car like a boss. Like they're fabulous. And the more I shop there and the more people we tell about it, the more variety and selection they get. And it keeps the ball rolling. It's awesome. And same thing with all these vintage marketplaces too. Like if we're not shopping there, Wayfair is not going anywhere. Amazon is not going anywhere. But these smaller guys, if we don't keep shopping there, they're not going to survive. So we work hard. We work hard to get over to these smaller places as often as we can because we're a little guy too. So
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, I'll always share. For the consults, people are always asking, okay, well, where can I get this? Where can I get this? I love telling them because,
No, when you say consult,
yeah,
this is different, right? Different
this is
than
different.
staging. So what's a consult?
So this is where I get to be a teacher. Um, when people are moving, not everyone has an empty house. So if you are moving and your house is full of furniture and you're living there with your dog and your cat and your kids and your grandma, and we will come in an hour walk through every room in that family's home and guide them to make it the best possible products that they can offer. So I know that not everybody has stage quality furniture in their homes, but we will walk through and help them troubleshoot and clean up and make all their photos look awesome. So,
So when you do a home consult where you're
yeah,
helping the buyer when you're helping the seller make the
yes,
home show
yes.
as to its very best, what do you think just like 3 takeaways are? So what are the 3 most common pieces of advice you're giving to people who live in their home with their own furnishings while they're trying to sell?
Okay, so great question. I always start by kind of getting a gauge of what kind of budget they have, mainly budget for time.
Mm-hmm.
Money really is a secondary budget for most people. Time is tough. So if they have a little bit of time and they're willing to do some elbow grease, I always recommend painting and usually updating light fixtures. I think people really underestimate how lighting dates a home.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can replace your overhead lighting, your chandeliers, your ceiling fans for a few $100s at Home Depot and Menards and really, really, really change the age of your house or like the idea of the age of your house. So if you have time and a couple dollars, definitely paint and lighting. And otherwise, declutter. Like all the crap on my shelves back there, we would go through and that bulletin board full of personality. We would help sellers understand why they should take that down and where they can store it, different things. But decluttering is what we call that. And then the other really big thing, most households have too much furniture. The way that we live is more in America. So really going through and editing your furniture, taking out pieces is usually what we have people do. It lets the rooms breathe, they feel bigger and more welcoming. And that's easy stuff.
And how often are you out doing that?
We will do, as our team has grown, it really has opened up the availability. So we'll do 4 to 5 consults a week.
Wow, that's a
Um,
lot. That's a lot
yeah,
on top of what you're already doing. That's pretty impressive.
yeah. We don't really advertise our consults very much. There are a lot of staging companies in St. Louis that do exclusively those kinds of appointments,
Mm-hmm.
and they do a really nice job. So if we're ever unable to meet somebody's timeline, we'll recommend some of these other staging consult companies. But I really do like doing it. I especially love going into established families' homes, like maybe they're empty nesters, and it's emotional to let go of that home that you've built where you've I'm going to get emotional myself. Like you've raised your kids there, and the ugly paint color was a period of time in your life that was really, really important. And I think it's really fun and magical to start the process with somebody. And after 20 minutes or so, you can see their shoulders drop because when you hear a stagers come into your house, that can be intimidating. And when they realize that we're just real people who are really there to help and that we care genuinely, they get into it and they're like, okay, so what should we do here? And yeah, you're right. Okay, I can see how that color isn't that great. All right. What do you think about this chair? My husband hates this chair. Oh, honey, I've been sitting in that chair for years. You've always said, and then it becomes like marriage counseling. And it's an hour of fun. And at the end, so many times I'm hugging them. They're hugging me back. They're like, I was dreading this appointment and this is actually so exciting. And I can't wait to move now. And like, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, like, but I just know from my perspective, like I don't have that gift at all. Like I literally do not have that gift. I can go into a place and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to sell this. But I don't have the gift of saying, do the, change this way, do that color, take that away. And also, I don't feel like it comes out like when I do it, it sounds like drill sergeanty.
But see, that's why this is a
But when
beautiful
you do
relationship. That's why I love us because you get to be good cop sometimes, and I am bad cop. Where I come in and I'm like, "Well, didn't Dawn say that we need to take some of this furniture out?" Well, we're here to do it, and then you look like the angel, or vice versa. So you do a beautiful job. You are one of the most well-educated realtors I know. You're constantly reading and learning. And you have this confidence about you where you're not afraid to go into your client's home and give them the best advice. And sometimes the best advice is you need to stage this property and it's going to be uncomfortable, but you need to do this. So talk to Jen and she'll guide you. And you always take that leap when it's appropriate. You never oversell, but like we admire that very, very much about you. You're very
Aw,
on point.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I really rely on you to come in and like have that discussion. And it just, because then I'm there to help sell the house, like not critique.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The relationship that you have with your sellers, it's long. It's a long process and your side of it is way more emotional than ours. And so for us to be able to come in and take one thing off your plate with those families and sellers and buyers, let us do that. That's why we're here. Again, like we think every single day, how can we make their job easier? Whether the job is like the seller's job of detaching from this property or you and your team's job of getting this property sold, like we're trying to come in silent and strong and help.
And you do. And I
Thanks.
really appreciate that. I mean, without your help, I know there are houses I would not have been able to sell. So switching gears, moving
Yes.
from work to family and balancing work and family and like the mom life. There's something, like I said, your kids are ahead of mine, and I always like to learn from the moms who've gone before me. And you did this thing, which is not an easy thing, but 3 kids all through private school, transitioning from elementary school to high school, right? Like school, like St. Louis and school, it is a never ending topic. So
Right.
I'm curious, like I know your kids they all 3 went through the same elementary school
Mhm.
and then they made that leap. I don't even know what does that look like? Okay, you're in 8th grade and now you have to pick a high school.
Right.
How did you do that? Are there
Okay. Well, I
tests?
think it's important for people to know where we live and the schools in St. Louis, especially if you're not from St. Louis and you're moving here and seeing all this. So, in the city of St. Louis, the public school system is not as strong as the county public schools. And so many families are looking for a public school alternative. We live in the city. I was raised in the county. I went to Parkway schools and had no idea. I didn't know why people ever went to private school because I woke up, I lived in a neighborhood, the bus got me, I went to school, I had great teachers, I had great resources, I had nice friends, and, you know, off we go into the sunset. So when we moved to the city, I didn't even think like everything in my life. I didn't plan it. I didn't think it. It just felt good. So I did it. And so yeah, once we started having kids, I was like, Christ, where are they going to go to school? And when I was a teacher, I also taught in the public schools. I taught in Webster. And since I stopped teaching there, we couldn't just, some people that live in the city default and send their kids to the district where they teach. But so yeah, we had to navigate this. Joe was raised in the private schools, so he was familiar with Catholic schools, and it was a learning curve for me. And I have been really pleasantly surprised. Our kids have a neighborhood school, a neighborhood Catholic school. They walk to school. The community is awesome. That all these families are kind of in it together.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, elementary school usually is just where you live, but going to high school, the elementary schools really do a nice job working with you, exposing you to stories and traditions, and siblings start talking about where their friends go to school, and at first it sounds really daunting.
It
And
does. It does
we have
sound daunting.
we have a senior graduating in a couple of days. We have an eighth grader who just graduated last night, and then we have a sophomore. And when our kids were in elementary school and I heard about interviews for high school and all this stuff, I was overwhelmed and focused, and it was crazy. And now that I have this senior looking back on it all, love and kiss your kids, go outside and play catch, like be stupid. Do not overthink any of this. They are kids and they will thrive. They're honest. In one of the interviews, the teacher came out because they use teachers to interview these kids. He came out and he's like, you didn't coach him on what to say, did you? And I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, sorry. Like third kid. Did we feed him today? And he's like, it was so refreshing. He was just honest. And he said what was on his mind. And his academics are secondary to his character. And I got to see his character. He's a cool kid. And absolutely, we want him at this school. And I'm like, yes, where is this in America today? So like, don't coach your kids. Tell them to say please and thank you. Tell them to be kind. Tell them to always support other friends. Tell them to respect themselves. Do your homework, brush your teeth. And if you don't brush your teeth, who cares? Like, it's actually not as hard as we all make it out to be.
Okay. I just feel like I can take a deep breath now, because even though my kids are so far away from high school, I think about this every day, all day long. I sit at a stoplight. I know it's crazy, but I know I'm not the only one who does it.
Right.
I know every mom in St. Louis is like, what are we doing for school?
Right.
Anyway,
I think honestly, the scariest part is the financial side of it. These private schools are so expensive. And I can't reiterate enough. They work with you and it's baby steps and you can figure it out. And also the charter schools are awesome in St. Louis too. So we don't have any kids that go there, but we have friends and it's awesome. So lots of options.
I think that kind of sums up St. Louis. There are so many options. Sometimes it feels really overwhelming, but there are lots and lots of good options. Okay, switching gears one last time. This is the St. Louis section. It's the lightning round.
Ooh.
Okay?
Ooh, okay. I have to write down some answers.
Are you ready?
I always forget where. Yeah.
Okay. So, favorite date night spot?
Favorite date night, Forest Park. We love to walk around in Forest Park. Sometimes we'll bring a cocktail with us. Sometimes we'll run the perimeter and then just like sit down by one of the lakes and catch up on our day and chill out. We love laying on Art Hill at night and just like being on the grass, looking up at the stars. But if we are going to eat, I miss King Louie's on Shoto more than anything. It was the best restaurant in the whole world. Everything about it was perfection. And we are still chasing that dragon. So we don't have a favorite restaurant right now. We like many, but we're really missing King Louis. So,
Heard.
and Louis is great, but that came back like a little different. The vibe is different, which is change is good. But yeah.
Best patio?
Best patio. Ooh, Moonrise Hotel rooftop. Amazing.
Favorite spot for a cocktail?
I love the frozen white sangria at Clover and Bee, which
Ooh,
is O&O Pizza in the evenings. It's to die for.
never had it. I'm going to put it on the list.
We'll get one of those before we go down to the hill on Wednesdays.
Okay, this is working well for me. I'm like, that transitions right into your perfect day in St. Louis.
Wait, isn't today Wednesday, Dawn? When do we wrap up?
Is it? Yeah, we're almost done.
Okay, what was the next one?
Favorite day in St. Louis. If you were going to tell an out-of-towner
what to do.
Three things for someone from out of town. Do not miss. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, the Arch. I know that it's in all the tour guide books, but seriously, the grounds at the Arch are amazing. Lay in the grass there, look up at the Arch, run up and down the steps.
I hear a lot of recurring themes. Lay in the grass, look up, run.
I know. I love
favorite date night, lay in the grass, look up, run.
I know, right? Down on our riverfront, do you know the graffiti wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the graffiti wall down at the Arch. So definitely the Arch grounds and the graffiti wall. Then I really think that they need to go to Forest Park. Everything is free there. Run in and out of the zoo, run in and out of all those museums. In the grass. When you're tired of running, lay down. No, but like zip in and out of all those fun places. And then at the end of your day, get St. Louis style pizza. I mean, nothing is better than Emo's pizza.
Agreed.
Yes.
Okay, my friend, we did it. We did a podcast. And this was super fun. And the only thing that would have made it better was like a bottle of bubbles. But I thought, for our first one, we just do coffee.
I love it. I think you're incredible. I think that you are a leader in this industry. I don't know where Carousel would be without you.
Oh my God. I don't know where I'd be without Carousel.
Like your wisdom, I appreciate you, and I love that you're doing this podcast and educating all of us. I can't wait to tune in to your next guest because your questions already are great, and I need to know where other people go to school and where other people go. Where's their date night? Have they found a new restaurant?
We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Mwah. Bye.
Mwah.